Billionaire Tony Hsieh has lived life to the last drop. He has set up Zappos.com, an online shoe shopping empire in 2007, and delivered it to Amazon.com for around $1.2 billion in 2009. Then his life spirals out of control into total insanity and beyond. He sets up Airstream Village in 2014, transforming an abandoned parking lot into a micro-living oasis called Lamopolis. Here, he is self-medicated on ketamine, inhaling up to 50 cans of nitrous oxide every day, and enjoying psychotic delusions that life is a computer simulation and that he can download superpowers directly into his brain. Tune in or out, grab yourself a beer or something stronger, and listen carefully to the strange story of billionaire Tony Hsieh, to a billionaire lifestyle that no one, not even he, could have ever expected or wanted. The lull before the storm. His parents are Richard and Judy Hsieh. They immigrated from Taiwan and met in the University of Illinois. His mother is a social worker and his father a chemical engineer at Chevron Corp. They moved to the Lucas Valley area of Marin County, California. He managed the Quincy House Grill at Harvard and sold pizza to the students in his dorm. His best customer, Alfred Lin, became the chief financial officer and chief operating officer of Hsieh's billion-dollar online shoe empire, Zappos.com. In 1995, Hsieh graduated from Harvard University with a degree in computer science, the ticket to a billion-dollar internet empire. First, he worked for Oracle Corporation, but he resigned after 6 months to set up Link Exchange, his online advertising platform, in March 1996. His clients used Link Exchange to advertise their internet sites. 3 months later, Link Exchange had 20,000 clients. 2 years later, his platform had over 400,000 members and 5 million ads every day. In November 1998, he sold Link Exchange to Microsoft for $265 million. His entrepreneurial dreams have come true. Downward spiral. Mr. Hsieh's often glorified partying as a central characteristic of his life and success, but the enforced isolation generated by the COVID-19 pandemic quite literally transported poor Tony to another dimension. He got heavily immersed in drugs, first mushrooms and ecstasy, then ketamine, dog and cat tranquilizer, and nitrous oxide, anesthetic. He tried an alphabetical diet. On the first day, he is only eating foods that started with the letter Y, and so on, until he reached the letter Z. Letters such as X must have posed a terrible challenge. Supposedly, he solved the problem of the letter Z by fasting. By the way, taking a necessary break from all this terrible self-abuse, can you name foods with all the letters of the alphabet? If you can, please submit them below. Mr. Hsieh is also conducting experiments on himself, sleeping only 4 hours a day and climbing the 3 highest peaks in Southern California all at once. Then he got into raves, attending the Burning Man Music Festival in the middle of the Nevada desert, and bringing a 40-foot fire shooting praying mantis sculpture back to his trailer home. He fell in love with an electronic dance music performance group called Danstronauts and begged them to become part of his plan to revitalize Las Vegas. He even joined the Danstronauts in his own astronaut jumpsuit. Way to go, Tony Hsieh. In the end, poor little rich kid Tony believed he was morphing into a crystal and plans to open a theme park where visitors could pay in seashells. So, finally, billionaire entrepreneur Tony Hsieh discovered spirituality. As someone who is usually known as being the most logical and rational person in a group, I was surprised to feel myself swept with an overwhelming sense of spirituality. It was as if the existence of individual consciousness had disappeared and had been replaced by a single unifying group consciousness. Sorry, Tony, those aren't the signs of spirituality. These are the symptoms of psychedelic mushroom, ecstasy, ketamine, and nitrous oxide abuse. Raking it in. In November 1998, during the sanest period of his existence, Tony Hsieh sold Link Exchange to Microsoft for $265 million before setting up Venture Frogs, an incubator and investment firm that made clever tactical investments in internet startups, such as Ask Jeeves, OpenTable, and his own brainchild, Zappos Shoes. Understanding that shoes are a $40 billion market in the US, and that paper mail order catalogs played an important role in that business, Hsieh invested heavily in Zappos.com. Starting with $1.6 million in sales in 2000, its revenue soared to $1 billion in 2009. Yes, Tony hit gold with the digital investment revolution. In addition to online shopping, Zappos provided free shipping and free returns. He called his business a holacracy, suggesting that job titles are not important and hiring only 1% of applicants. On July 2009, Amazon.com acquired Zappos.com in a deal valued at $1.2 billion. Hsieh netted $214 million for himself. From 2009 until his death, Hsieh investigated a major redevelopment and revitalization project in downtown Las Vegas. Thousands of local entrepreneurs and tech people settled there, and in August 2020, Hsieh bought multiple properties in Park City, Utah, properties valued at $56 million. Hsieh's 2010 book Delivering Happiness hit the online bookshelves, debuting at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Here's one of Tony's golden quotes. "Happiness is really just about 4 things: perceived control, perceived progress, connectedness, number and depth of your relationship, and vision/meaning, being a part of something bigger than yourself." The complete title of Tony Hsieh's masterpiece is Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion, and Purpose. Poor Tony. If life is really about delivering happiness, you should have ordered home deliveries for yourself. Management style, lifestyle. In his 20 years as an internet executive, Hsieh helped reshape customer service. He blended his personal and professional lives into a quest for spiritual union with his colleagues, and sought to make business more about personal dreams than about piling up money. Of course, it all backfired, but Tony truly did his best. Mr. Hsieh suffered from introversion and social anxiety, but he was giving too. One friend described him as the giving tree, referring to the story in which a tree gives every part of himself to a boy he loves but gets nothing in return. Poor tree, poor Tony. That really sums up the life of Tony Hsieh. No matter how hard he tried, he really got nothing back in return. For one New Year's Eve party at his 3,500 square foot loft in San Francisco, he rented a fog machine which ended up setting off a fire alarm. He had to apologize when 2 fire trucks screeched to a halt outside of his house. Shots of Grey Goose vodka were of course part of the business culture in Zappos.com, and Tony insisted to the end that ultimately happiness is really just about enjoying life. Airstream Village. In 2014, Tony developed an abandoned parking lot into a micro-living oasis that he called Llamopolis, because he loved llamas and alpacas so much. So why did he create this hippie village? Hsieh tells us why. "I did it because I wanted to maximize serendipity and randomness in my life." Airstream Village still has a carnival atmosphere. It is a community with tiny homes and Airstream trailers and minimal space to separate the two. There are no yards, it is still a parking lot, and the property has a big stage and 2 metal container buildings. One of the containers is a business center with computers and printers. The other container is for laundering clothes. Outdoor activities include barbecues and ping pong. There are 30 trailers and small homes. Each trailer has utilities and internet, of course, and the rent is $1,200 a month. But it isn't that easy to get a place. You need skills so you can contribute to the economy. There's a chef that prepares an outdoor communal dinner for all the residents every night. There is an artist painting murals, designing posters, and polishing up trailers. Most important of all, there is a sense of community amongst the young professionals and techies that live there. There is a bulletin board where the residents can post ideas to improve the Airstream Village, and a llama wandering free in Llamatopia. Tony just loves it here. I've probably lived in about 10 places in my entire life. This is definitely my favorite so far. I love it at night here. There's campfires going, all these lights, sometimes musicians playing music, just jamming together, people cooking. I really like the unpredictability and randomness of it. The last days. In his last days, poor Tony got robbed blind. Hsieh's father Richard and brother Andy have accused his assistant Pham and her lawyer boyfriend of abuse of fiduciary relationship, preying on his vulnerable, drug-addled state to exploit, manipulate, and squeeze him out of millions. Hsieh initially paid Pham $9,000 a month, but in his last days, her pay soared to $30,000, plus a 10% commission on investments that amounted to millions of dollars. Pham invoiced Tony for $1,830,000 between mid-September and his death in November. Cruel, isn't it? There were signs Tony knew he was in trouble. On the night he died, he planned to check into a rehab clinic in Hawaii. Then he disappeared into a shed that was attached to his home. and no one knows how the fire started. Poor Tony died of smoke inhalation. Hopefully, he didn't feel a thing.